If you're watching this right now and you haven't hit the like button, Billy, get on it. Bug your brother. Tell him to do the same. We are very excited to have returning to the show, Sportsnet producer and the man behind the best Twitter account on Blue Jays Twitter, @DownToBlack, Chris Black. Welcome to the walk-off, buddy. Thanks so much for taking the time.
That's very kind of you. I'm not comfortable with compliments. It's been 41 years and I'm still not comfortable with them, but I appreciate the kind words.
Honestly, dude, I love your Twitter account so much. You're so detailed and informative, but you also have this like ability to point out stuff that me anyways wouldn't catch. As a baseball nerd, it's very exciting to be led to something that I find very interesting. So great job, man. Really enjoy that.
I appreciate it. I am a true baseball nerd, and the people that seem to enjoy my work also happen to be baseball nerds. So I'm comfortable in that space, and that is a space that I will continue to live in.
It's not that you invented threads or anything like that, but I am curious what got you interested in doing that more long form Twitter information dump, I guess, for lack of a better word.
I would say I felt like I wanted to write, but I feel like, and I have written a few things in the past. I wrote a Teoscar thing the year after his breakout, the off season. I've written a Simber thing for the website before. I wanted to write, but also I felt like people don't really read written content anymore. As dumb as that sounds.
No, it doesn't sound dumb.
They should. I do. But like just generally speaking, or the stuff that seemed to get engagement. And, what I kind of saw or realized is what we do in our job in television and in the job of a producer, it's like consuming a ton of information and figuring out ways of disseminating that information in really quick little bites. So being able to tell a story of what's happening with Vladdy in one graphic or two video rolls or, a few sentences, like that's kind of what we have to do in television, because you might only get, 30 seconds before an at-bat to tell a little story. And so when I realized that, like, that's kind of what we do in TV, I realized I could translate that to Twitter.
And it translates beautifully. Like it really
I think it does. I think it works. But yeah, like I think it's, you're telling, what I like about Twitter is I can tell each one of those little bites, one of those little stories, I can tell 10 of those little stories in one thread, and it becomes something that feels a little more substantive than what we usually find on Twitter. And a kind thing that I can't remember if he said this on air or where Dan said it, but it was very well received. I was kind of proud to hear it, but Dan Schulman made a point of saying one day that like Chris is interested in the why of like why things are happening. I do think like Twitter's also a space where everyone shouts really obvious things. It's like the Blue Jays are bad. It's like, yeah, we know. I'm not really I get that that's what some people do. And I'm not faulting them for it, but like, to me, if I wrote that, I don't know what I'd be serving. I don't know who I'd be informing. I don't know what people would take from that. I think it's obvious when teams are doing bad or when players are doing bad. Like it's not hard to look at an ERA or a batting average or an OPS or a one-loss record. I find those things obvious, like the what's happening. I've always been more interested in why things are happening, and so that's kind of always where I start.
Well, it's working for you, bud. Love to see
Thanks.
it. We will get into the Blue Jays here. Uncle Wilton should have been flowing in sooner, I guess. It was wild to see Vladdy visibly look more comfortable yesterday. You could just see it. He truly, in his swing, seemed more comfortable. I know you did a thread on him yesterday, and I'm not saying that a swing adjustment can be fixed in one night. And obviously we should all be a little bit patient. But did you get the impression after Vladdy's 3-hit night that he's getting closer to turning the page on this thing?
I mean,
Or
by
am
the
I jumping
law,
the gun here?
no. By the law of averages, it was going to come. Like a good, a good strategy is when a good player is going poorly, do something on him because he'll probably turn it around sooner rather than later. And so were there adjustments? Did he look more comfortable? Yada yada yada. Yeah, like I agree. But also he's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and he's the most talented. I do think he hasn't been the best hitter on the team this year, but he remains and will remain the most talented hitter on the team. He's got talent. He can do things that Bo can't do. He's got to change some
What
things
are
and
some of those things, Chris?
he can drive a ball out anywhere. Like Bo doesn't have crazy power to all fields. He can hit the ball out in right every once in a while, but I was on with Blake yesterday and I said, Vladdy at his best is a line drive hitter who every once in a while the launch will be a little bit different and he'll hit a ball out. To me, that's Vladdy at his best. And that isn't what we saw for a couple weeks. But he can do things with a bat and hitting a baseball that nobody else can do. He can hit, as I said yesterday, like he hits these 2 irons that like they're 110 miles an hour plus. It's the golfers that I'm always jealous of when I play. They hit drives that start like this and then they take off. Like he can hit the ball in ways that other people can't. So I think he's going to be fine. This is a blip. The other thing I said to Blake yesterday was I think this slow stretch kind of masked the fact that March or April was really, really good. Like better than any month he had in 22. He was closer to MVP Vlad in the first month of the year than he was to 2022, 25, 30% better than league average Vlad. Like he was close, but I think some of the power wasn't there. And I wonder whether he started chasing power a little bit. So I think he'll come out of it. I really don't think it was his uncle that fixed anything. I don't think it was like, I think he calmed down. He focused a little bit. And I think that kind of, what I said in the thread and what I've said in the last couple of days is he just I would turn the volume down on everything he's doing. Like just slow everything down, slow the leg kick, slow the bat thing, make everything just a little bit quieter. And I feel like he did that last night. Like I was really encouraged by what I saw last night.
I'll take a 3-hit night any day of the week.
Yeah, he'll be fine. Vladdy will be fine.
Yusei Kikuchi, achieving some impressive things yesterday. Listen, despite his struggles since coming to Major League Baseball from NPB, he had his 500th K in Major League Baseball last night. He's also on pace to win 20 wins. He probably won't, but he had his 7th win yesterday. And I know that he's at 100 wins between MLB and NPB. He's a pretty solid 5th starter, right?
He's a 5th starter, right? So if a 5th starter can win you some games, then that's fine. Like, the performance has definitely dipped in May. But that's what you're.
We don't always get April Yusei, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, baseball's kind of strange in that I honestly don't think for someone who's on Twitter so much, consuming that content, creating content on that platform, like I actually don't think I don't think baseball is a good sport for Twitter, except in some ways it works really well. It's a place where everyone can go. It's a great second screen thing to be there during the game. But in that sense, it's awesome for baseball. But in another sense, baseball isn't meant to have these wildly vacillate, to be jumping back and forth on guys after every good or bad performance. you can't like, you'll just end up losing your mind over and over again. Someone's the best ever, someone's the worst ever. It's like, that's not how it works. You kind of got to take a step back every few starts, every couple weeks to see what's really happening. Um, that's another reason why I don't always, jump in on some of the narratives and some of the stuff that's happening. Like, you got to let storylines play out. And you say it was great to see what he was doing in April, and it was interesting to see what's kind of changed. I've written about it and talked about it, and we've talked about it on Blue Jays broadcast this year. Like, to me, what changed is his command of his secondary stuff. His slider / cutter was his like pet pitch. It's what he's most comfortable throwing. And he was locating that to the edges of the strike zone. He's making really good pitches with it in April, and he just started throwing it over the middle of the plate this month. And that's what was happening last year when he was getting hit hard. He was leaving cutters / sliders over the middle of the plate. So, he'll have good games, he'll have bad games. But to me, they corrected the biggest issue for him last year, which was the walks. So you fix that. Like, giving up home runs is fine as long as they're solo more often than their 3-run. You know what I mean? So I'm fine with what he's done. There's going to be more good. There's going to be more bad. But if he stays out, like, that's what a 5 starter is. Like, I don't know. It's another.
I could not agree more, man.
Yeah.
I love your point on how Twitter and even social media in general doesn't really lend itself all that well to a 162 game season. I always get a kick out of my buddies because I have a couple buddies that are pretty big baseball fans, but are huge football fans. And I think that short 18 game season football messes with the way they view baseball at times, right? Where like they can be very reactionary over one game where I'm like, well, okay.
The thing to tell them is like, literally, so then react after every 8 or 9 games. Because that's right. Yeah. That's what a baseball season is. Or that's what one NFL game is. Like, so, if they're 1-7, which they were during that one stretch, then yeah. But like, 8 baseball games, yeah. 8 baseball games is 1 football game. So like, to me, that's a good kind of comparison and a good sample of like, hey, if someone is running bad for a week, then yeah, I think that's worth reacting to. Day-to-day stuff, like, I understand why if someone goes 0 for 4 with 3 Ks, like, sure, but it just, yeah, we all gotta take a deep breath collectively sometimes.
So big Nate Pearson,
awesome,
with two more dominant innings. I agree. 4 Ks, super exciting to see him on the field to begin with and succeeding in general. In your opinion, Chris, what is this kid's ceiling on this team in 2023?
Exactly where he kind of is right now. Like, I mean, valuable setup man. And we saw the possibility in the spring. I know there are people who said, why didn't he start with the team? Because they set expectations for him last year when they said, go to winter ball and perform. And he did. And then they said, perform in the spring. And then he did. And they said, now go and perform in Buffalo and show us. Like, he had to earn his way. I think the sense, this total outsider's view, this isn't from talking to anyone within the org, but I think their sense was that he was given too much without earning it at a young age. And so I think this year and the offseason, the message was earn your way back onto this team. And in there, you can tell by the decision they made in the spring, like, that included proving it in AAA. And he did. And like, he's now been performing for months now. I like the stuff. It's simplified. He's not messing around with the changeup. He's heat. He's got 2 really good breaking balls. So
his ability to provide 2 innings is really nice too.
Yep. Like, I can see a world where at some point they bring up a Hatch or what's the name of the other guy in AAA? Danner? No, I can't remember.
Hagen
Or
Danner.
Ben
Yeah.
Grant. Yeah. Like, or somebody like that, or like I could see them bringing up and giving all the starters a day by going like a couple innings of insert Buffalo pitcher X, Richards and Pearson, and seeing how much you can get out of that to give, whether it's whoever needs it, like, but to push everybody back by a
Right.
day, like,
Almost
because
like a 6 starter idea, but without a
yeah,
bullpen day. Yeah.
yeah, but
I
they don't
like
really
that.
have
No, they
a
don't.
starter in Buffalo ready to go.
No.
But I could see them doing that because I think
Interesting.
Pearson's shown he can do that. Richards has been awesome, and he's been a guy I've liked for a while. Like I see, and they've got multiple starters who have shown, kind of the numbers have shown, they're better with an extra day or two of rest. In both Gossman's shown that, Manoah's shown that, and Bassett. So I think that'll be something to watch over the next few months.
Velocity in this bullpen was a point of contention last year, and Nate Pearson has been called up already. I think it's safe to say he's going to be a permanent fixture in this bullpen moving forward. Just yesterday, and I know you touched on him there, Hagen Danner was just called up from Double-A New Hampshire to Buffalo. He is on the 40-man roster, posted 22 Ks in 11 innings, so that plays. He throws 100 with plus breaking stuff. Can you see a world where Romano, Pearson, and Haggy D are providing high leverage, high velo for this team this year, or should I just take the Pearson win and stop being greedy?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily rely on a Double-A guy who's just coming up from Double-A. If it works, great, but I mean, I don't think you can expect it. Like, if Pearson's shown us anything over the last few years, or anyone, like it's hard to pitch and be successful in the big leagues. Like, none of this is easy. Hitters are good. Scouting services are good. We're all paying lots of attention. There's lots of ways to find weaknesses and holes in pitchers and hitters. None of this is easy. So yeah, maybe, but there's the Chad Greens of the world. There's insert trade candidate X. So yeah, like maybe, but I don't know. I haven't seen enough. He's not a guy that I've dove in on yet, but yeah, like Pearson's awesome. It's been a great success story. I like what he's doing. To me, he was a little bit deer in the headlights when he was younger, and I don't see that now. Like, I see a guy, who's just kind of older probably, but like peacocking, strutting around, throwing gas. Knows he throws gas. It's like, yeah, own your stuff. Know that you're good. Like, I think that's
I almost give him a pass on that from previous years. I mean, he was doing interviews with MLB Network about his Hall of Fame trajectory. So there was a substantial amount of hype around him coming up. That is for sure.
I remember, like, we did a story in like a preseason about people talking like, hey, can he throw 104, 105? And then he was throwing like 94. And I'm like, oh God, this is a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's back to what he's doing. He's back.
Yeah, that's right. When his pitching coach, do you remember that, Chris? When his pitching coach in college came out and said, I think he'll hit 108 at some point. It's
just whatever. It probably got him in the paper or got him on a TV screen somewhere. So yeah, those are the things that people say from time to time.
Okay, so I'm hoping that you can shed some positivity on this. All right. What can we expect from Alek Manoah? Can you
I'm optimistic on Manoah.
You are? Okay,
yep.
Please wash us in your positivity.
I want to be early on the Manoah train. And like, this might come back to bite me, but like, I think he's close. And the big thing for me is the slider. It was so
you have seen progress in that, eh?
Yeah, no.
All right, gang. Sorry about the technical difficulties here. Chris, you were right about to shed some positivity on Alek Manoah here when that cut out. So go ahead and give it to us here.
Manoah slider much better last two starts. So the good start against Baltimore, and then even against Tampa when he had crazy control issues, the slider's getting better. First 9 starts, he has more strikeouts off the slider in his last 2 starts than he did in his previous 9 starts combined.
Oh, wow.
So he had 8 strikeouts last 2 times out. He had 7 over his first 9 starts. So he's getting swing and miss. He's generating outs with it. He's also not giving up hits with it. To me, that's his bread and butter pitch. I know fastballs are what were good last year, but I think the slider almost sets that up. That hitters are worried and trying to defend against the slider, and when they do that, that's when he jams them inside with fastballs. So I think he's close. I think he was behind to start the year. Now, why he was behind, I think there's a whole bunch of reasons you could theoretically discuss, but there's no way of knowing exactly. So I don't think it really matters all that much, but he was behind. He was playing catch up, and I think he's almost caught up. Now, the part that's like the biggest wild card in this is kind of what I think we saw yet in his last time out. Even though the stuff's better, even though stuff's performing better, he's now at a point where he's,
not hitting his spots.
Well, not just that, but like he's worried about it. Like it's like people always say this about hitters. Like if you start the year slow, you're seeing those numbers on the scoreboard or on the thing. Like you're seeing it every time out. You're looking at 5.50 ERA and 1 whatever WHIP. Like it's like he's aware of it, and it's different if he went through a bad 8-start stretch in the middle of the season where his overall numbers look better. So the wild card is like how he handles adversity, that he doesn't just think, oh shoot, here we go again. And I think there is a bit of that right now with him. Like there's an element of doubt that you can kind of see in his eyes.
For the first time in his career too.
Yeah. But I think the stuff is close. And I sense a really, I'm not saying it's for sure coming tonight, but I sense that he could be going on a run sooner rather than later. So you heard it here first.
That's right. That's
but
right.
If he's bad, I never said this.
We ignore this completely. Exactly. Speaking of behind the 8 ball a little bit, and we might as well bring up Manoah's battery mate here, Alejandro Kirk. Some major struggles at the plate to start the season, and not everyone has noticed, but he is coming out of it. He's hitting 368 in his last 11 games, and with Danny on the IL, this is good news. Kirk shouldering more and more of the workload. Chris, do you believe in Kirky as a full-time number one, taking the ball 4 out of every 5 times? Do you feel confident he can shoulder this load?
Well, he's going to have to. So like whether or not we feel comfortable about it, like I don't think it's ever going to be something he does long term. I don't think he'll. I shouldn't say ever, but like I think it's very unlikely. He's a guy who catches 100 games a year, ever. Because for a few reasons, but like I think because the bat is really, really good when he's right. He's got some people hate this term, but like he makes the best swing decisions on the team. For a guy that young at that position to make such good swing decisions, that's an extremely valuable asset to have. So I think he's really good. I think he's kind of like Manoah in that he was working from behind. He got out, like he came late into camp. He wasn't ready to go when the year began, I don't think, in my opinion. And I think, but what we're seeing now is what he can be. And I think it's, when he's right, he's spraying line drives, he's taking walks, he's not striking out. So I think he's valuable.
This team has lacked a cleanup hitter. Do you think that Alejandro going could fill that role, or just not enough power to really be that guy they're after there?
Like it's weird because they they have a power hitter, quote unquote, leading off. They've
Yeah.
got, and then their 2 and 3 hitters are two of the 20 best hitters in the game when they're right. So I've never I don't know. Did we care? Like Kirk batted cleanup a bunch last year. Did
A
anyone care that
ton.
he wasn't a quintessential cleanup hitter? Like I don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we could have another
Yeah. If
if
they're
the
getting
question
hits,
is,
I don't care who is.
yeah, and if the question is like, hey, couldn't this team use another guy who hits 30, 35 home runs? It's like, yes. Could any team use
Yeah.
another hitter that hits? So I don't know. I don't like Chapman was awesome the first month. He's been bad in May. Like there's going to be different guys hitting. I think Belt's giving you great at bats for multiple weeks now. I
So
like
with Chapman having a rough month, are you close to predicting a heater from him? Like when do you jump on board the Matt Chapman train here, Chris?
I haven't dove in, but I feel
You're
like
like, I'm gonna
he's
roll with Manoah to start here, and we'll give
yeah.
it a week or two. Yeah.
Yeah, Chapman, like, I mean, this was coming. Like, there was going to be a regression, and not just to like his career norms, but like there's going to be a regression that brought his season stats to his career norms. So there was a cold stretch coming. So you know, he's a good player. He's a productive player. The start was never going to last. It was
Yeah.
fun to watch and it was fun to take in. But you know, I
Yeah,
the biggest
all my football fan friends thought that we had a 500 hitter.
yeah, like it's, I mean, there was enough reason and the process had changed and there was valid reasons to say, hey, maybe he's a 260, 270 hitter this year instead of 220. But and maybe like that could still happen.
Mhm.
But you know, he's also I don't know how many games he is into his career, but he's 6 years into his career. And those types of guys don't usually drastically change at this age, except sometimes in walk years. So again, like that, there was reason to maybe think and hope. So he's going to keep working. Like he's going to try. There's millions and millions and millions and hundreds of millions of reasons for him to keep working and trying to put up a career year. So, you know, but he's valuable and he's perfectly fine in a 5 or 6 hole. I don't think he's like I think if this lineup's right, like I would think Belt and Kirk hit ahead of Chapman. Like
Mhm.
when there's like long-term equilibrium, if that makes sense.
Zach Pop. Have you heard anything on
I
him?
wasn't expecting that name. It's
Yeah,
like,
is he getting close? And do you think
I
that
don't know.
he could be? You don't know, eh? That's fair.
No, like I don't know if he's close. I know that enough people have passed him. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I think this stuff was interesting. Um, I never, when people were kind of liking the slider and liking what it did, I didn't see it in much the same way.
Okay.
Um, I don't love his command. He could, like, listen, he could still be a guy
Mhm.
down the line, but you know, relievers,
Expecting anything from him now might be just leading to disappointment.
well, not disappointment. Like, I don't know. I just, you know, one of the things I'm intrigued by, and I've talked to a few people about this, is like I think there's a reason why most relievers are older guys. Like I don't think it's necessarily because they're failed starters first or anything like that. I think it's really hard mentally um, to be a big league reliever. There's pressure almost every time you come in. Um, you know, if you fail, you need to wipe the slate clean and come back again with no fear the next time out. Um, so I think it requires a lot of maturity and kind of mental fortitude to be a really good MLB reliever. And I think that's why you see like a lot of the guys who are good are 30 plus, which you don't see in other positions. Like it's more so talent that plays in other places. And not saying it's not talent, but I just think it requires these guys take a little longer to develop.
And history tends to agree with you, man. And I love that you brought this up because I am curious what you think about this. So the Los Angeles Angels called up Ben Joyce out of Double A, from Double A straight to the big leagues. Some people might remember Ben Joyce. He was the fireballer hitting 105 in college, drafted by the Los Angeles Angels last summer.
Nate Pearson's college pitching coach said Ben Joyce could hit 150, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Made his MLB debut on Monday. He had a couple Ks. Average speed on his fastball was 101.3 miles per hour. The Angels saying loud and clear, why waste bullets in the minor league? But to go back to what you were saying about experienced relievers, do you like this call up?
Yeah, if you've got elite stuff, I'm okay with it. I think figuring out all that other stuff I was talking about is about if, you've got stuff that is like most other pitchers. If you're a unicorn that throws triple digits, then yeah, do it. I agree with this is why I was on. I remember being early on the bring Manoah up train because it was like, if he shows you that he's productive, bring him up. Like there's no point in waiting on people in this sport and at that position because it's fickle and health for pitchers is fickle. So if you've got a healthy guy who's productive, then by all means give him a look. Now, you never know what the other reasons that go into it. Maturity, are they ready for the pressure? Yada, yada, yada. But generally, if they're healthy and productive, then yeah, keep moving them up and see if they pass tests.
And to build off of that, this kind of caught my eye yesterday. The San Diego Padres, not sure if you caught it, Chris, they promoted prospect Ethan Salas to low A, and he is 16 years old. So he is now the youngest kid to ever play professional baseball in that low A league. He was an international free agent last summer. Baseball continues to skew younger and younger. It gets impressive how young some of these star kids are. I mean, Blue Jays fans, we got to watch Bo and Vladdy come up pretty much at 20 years old. Is baseball getting to a point where we are going to see more and more 18-year-olds in the big leagues? I know it's almost unheard of right now, or do you think there's still too much development to expect that sort of youth?
Yeah, I don't think so, because the other part about this sport is you need to be incredibly strong to hit a baseball, or to throw. So I think Bo and Vladdy were interesting cases because talent was unquestioned, but also you got to have the right team as well. They had nothing. That was what, that's what the 2019 season was about getting them experience and getting them exposed. So yeah, maybe, but I still think it's really hard to be there are very, very few examples of hitters, or especially pitchers, but even hitters being productive as a 19-year-old, for example. But the flip side of that is there've been more recently, but they're crazy talented. It's Bo, it's Vlad, it's Acuna, it's Soto. So yeah, if the players are as talented as those guys, but I still think that will be the exception. I think there will be players like that. I just don't think you're going to start seeing more and more young kids coming in and playing.
Chris, we appreciate your time so much, man.
Anytime.
Love having you on the show here. Let's end on this. I know we posed this question to our panel on Long Toss on Sunday here with a variety of answers, and I'm curious your thoughts on looking at the AL East standings, where the Blue Jays currently rank, the fact they did so poorly against the division, and that there are so few interdivisional games left. Where are you at on this Toronto Blue Jays team? Do you think they can win the division? Do you still see them as a playoff team, or do you think that they are going to be in a fight just to get in?
They're one of the top 10 teams in baseball. Like even after the struggles, nothing's changed on that. Boston's going to regress. I feel pretty confident in that. Tampa will regress from this crazy start because how can you not?
Because it's baseball.
Yeah, like they're going to regress. Baltimore's a problem. Like Baltimore is good. Like Baltimore, we started seeing it late last year. They've got no salary commitments. They have a whack of prospects, and they've got a lot of really good players. They're going to be a problem.
They're making
for a
me
long
eat
time.
my words, Chris, because at the beginning of the season, I said they don't have the starting pitching to go the distance, and that I felt that 2024 was going to be their big year. But holy crap, I'm needing to walk that back because they are winning despite not having starting pitching.
Good hitters.
I still feel they don't have starting pitching, but
yeah, but they can go get it if they want.
Yeah.
Good hitters, speed, defense, and Rutschman's from the second he came up, the second I saw him, I was like, whoo, baby. Like he's a leader, the way he carries himself, the way he hits, the way he catches, like he makes people around him better. And I don't care. I usually live in the world of quantitative, measurable stuff, but he's good.
Special.
He's a problem. So but long story short, like the Jays are really good. No one was expecting this Tampa start. They're crazy. That was kind of crazy. But again, I think they're coming back. I think it'll be tight. Like, I don't think the division's out of play yet. The Yankees, I don't love, but they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. And, we would have thought or hoped that they'd be right in the thick of it for the division right now. But they went through their cold stretch kind of early, and Tampa went on the start that the Yankees went on last year. Like, it's crazy that's been 2 straight years of this, of one team going bananas.
And obviously you want to win the division, but the World Series doesn't rely just on that, right? Like,
no,
you can make some noise out of the wild card.
You can, but it's just it's playing the number, it's playing the math game.
Yeah.
Like, it's just you're a lot more likely to make it, and does that kind of probability matter when you're in it? No, it's like win the games. Everything's 50-50, as a writer that I enjoy kind of says sometimes, like things either happen or they don't. So the probability of it, doesn't matter. I don't know, but I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think a lot of these teams, like people have been talking over the last few days about the amount of teams that they need. It's like, let's not worry about climbing over teams right now when there's, I don't know how many games.
110 games left. Yes.
Yeah. Like let's wait till we're in July, August, and let's see what the picture looks like. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're really good. And I think if Manoah fixes things, I think everything else slots in. So I don't want to say it's all dependent on him, because they've been good even with him being bad. But if he fixes things, I feel like everything slots in very well.
Chris, always insightful and informing stuff. Thank you so much for your time, man. We will
Anytime.
bug you to come back. I really appreciate it.
Just reach out anytime. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Right on. Cheers.